Hi everyone, Ryan here, back for a new edition of home-based learning. Today we're going to focus on catching techniques. So the catching techniques that we're discussing in the school, obviously for the younger year groups especially, is the different ways that we catch you with different objects. If I'm using smaller objects, there's a different technique to a bigger object. I like to give them a little bit of visual cues. So the first one would be with a small object, I give them the cue of they're reading a book. So they're creating this V shape with their hands a little bit cupped. This makes it easier for them to visualize when they have to catch the smaller ball. So reading a book technique, ball falls in, and we always say remember to decelerate a little bit. We explain the deceleration, just move with the ball a little bit while you're doing it. When we move on to bigger objects, maybe like a soccer ball or a rugby ball or soft toy, if you were playing catch with a soft toy, doesn't matter, you're throwing that, then we talk about the clamp technique. So that comes up and we clamp it to our body just like you would catch a ball. You clamp it to your body. Comes up, they follow it in, comes in. And then we have a little bit of a play, and I say to them, oh, can I do that with a small ball, and it falls through, and they have a good laugh. But very important for them to visualize this. Why would a clamp technique work better for a big ball and not a small ball? Because there's a big gap, and then you reinforce that a little bit more. For a frisbee type of thing, or a flat object, we call it the alligator snap. So the hands come together, so they're visualizing they've got to snap it down. So when the frisbee comes through, they're snapping it up. Once they get into the older year groups, they can learn to catch the frisbee with one hand, or the object with one hand. But for the younger year groups, we talk about the alligator snap, so that they're contacting on both ends of the frisbee. From there, we have a couple of stations, and they practice these techniques. After that, we move on to a self-progression kind of activity in the class, and this is usually big up on a screen or pasted in different stations so that they have space everywhere. We usually start with something easy, so throw the ball up and catch the ball with two hands. That would be step one. Down in the link below, I'll link the ladder of success, as I call it, and they need to complete a certain amount of catching the ball with two hands before they can progress to the next difficulty of skill. So from two hands we go to one hand, and then we drop the ball and catch it with two hands, and from there one hand, and so on and so on. Once they can do this, and I always start off with the younger year groups with 5 times, so can you do this repeated for each one of the activities 5 times. Once you've reached the 9th one and you've succeeded through all of them, can you come back and do it 10 times in a row now? This just means that some of the students who are a little bit higher in skill don't stand around and come to me and say, oh, what do I do now? What do I do now? They know they're going to move on and they're going to challenge themselves to something else. Those that are extra skilled and fortunate enough to be able to do it through all the way to 10 times, because I usually don't give them that long to do this. It's not a whole lesson that they're practicing just catching. I usually give them 10 to 15 minutes to run through all these activities. If there are students who can run through 5 times for each one of the 9 levels and 10 times for each one of the levels, I then ask them, can they balance as a challenge? Can they balance on one foot and do each one of these activities 5 times? This is then adding that extra level of difficulty, which obviously when they're older is going to help them so much more. Am I catching the ball on one hand in netball or basketball, or running in a fielding game and I'm off balance and catching? So we're developing these skills. Obviously it's static, but it's still creating that extra little bit of difficulty. So if you have any questions, give me a shout. But down below in the description, I'll post that ladder of success, like I said, and you guys comment if you have any questions or have any other activities that you're worried about working on. Anyway, stay safe. Good luck with the lockdown that's happening in South Africa and UK. I'm sure Hong Kong's not far behind. See you guys.